Welcome everyone to another Teach Kelvin Your Things session. In today's session, I have Fred who's going to teach me how to build real-time web apps with Meteor and React. How you doing, Fred?
Hey Kevin, I'm great. What about you?
Yeah, I'm awesome. I'm looking forward to this session. In fact, I've been looking forward to this session because I've always heard what Meteor is, but I haven't really tried it, right? So I'm looking forward to you teaching me the Meteor. But before that, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you've been doing, and anything you want to share.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Fred. It's Frederico, but you can call me Fred. It's easier. I like it. Uh, I am my background is software engineering. I've been doing that since 2008, so it's about 15 years now. Uh, I worked for about 10 years with mostly Java development, but I worked with Scala, Groovy, Objective C, and also JavaScript on the front end. And in the past 5 years or so, I switched to develop only using JavaScript, front end and back end. Uh, and that's been amazing. Also TypeScript. And today I am the CEO of Meteor Software. And I try to code sometimes, but I don't have enough time to code nowadays. So if you see me doing any mistake here, forgive me because I'm not coding every day now. But I hope I will be able to demonstrate how powerful Meteor is, and maybe you will switch your boring stack to Meteor after this.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wow, 10 years of Java, now JavaScript across the stack for 6 years. Wow, so probably 16 years plus of software development. You're the senior dev.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
no, you and please don't don't worry about making code mistakes. We don't judge you. I make code mistakes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
Um.
happens.
Yeah. Sure thing. So I have a question based on what you said. So how was the transition from Java in the backend to JavaScript across the stack for you?
You mean the reasons why I switched, or how
Both
was
the
my
reasons
experience?
and how has it been? Like you're doing Java stuff, but now all JavaScript. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So everything started actually with Meteor back in 2015. I was a Java developer, but I made a test in a company, like to join that company. And in that company, they used Java for most of the things, but they had a kind of innovation department where they were using Meteor JS. So it was the first time I saw Meteor, and like I fell in love at the right moment. A funny story is that after I learned Meteor, kind of learned because I was working there for 2 months, and in that company I started working with both. So I sometimes I was working with Java, and sometimes I was developing using Meteor. And 2 months later, I was like in conferences doing presentations about Meteor because it was so great, like so productive. Uh, so in that company, I saw Meteor for the first time, and I like I worked with Java for many years, and for me it was kind of too boring to develop in Java. Like I wasn't learning anything new, like everything the same. So I got very excited to work with JavaScript and Meteor JS. So in that company, we had the freedom to choose, like you look at the board and then you could choose which task you want to work. And I was always going to the Meteor.js tasks because it was a lot more fun to develop than Java. But then I continued working with Java for a few years. But all my side projects I was developing using JavaScript and mostly Meteor.js. So that is how it happened. And yeah, for me, the main reason was I feel much more productive when I'm using JavaScript. Like Java is great. Like Java evolved a lot as well. Uh, but I don't know, the dynamic typing of JavaScript is something that I liked a lot. So that's, yeah, that's something that it's a big discussion. But to be honest, I prefer developing using JavaScript than TypeScript. I like TypeScript for backend, but for front end stuff, I never really enjoyed using TypeScript on front end. So I am JavaScript team and JS docs. Yeah, so I feel that I have more fun working with JavaScript than Java, and TypeScript reminds me of Java. So I have this kind of blocker that I'm still not convinced that TypeScript is the best choice.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow.
Yeah,
Um, I share a lot of your sentiments, but one actually, you said you left Java because it was boring, and JavaScript something new to learn and all that. And I'm trying to make JavaScript boring. That's interesting. Another thing
yeah,
is
but
the
that's
yeah. Go ahead.
the thing is Java was boring, and for me, I was taking always a lot of time building
Mhm.
stuff. And
Yeah,
like I said that in the beginning, like Meteor is kind of a boring stack as well, but you are very productive, so it is fun. So it's a
mm, this is
boring
interesting.
and fun at the same time.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I cannot wait to get into it. So I think you're one of the few JavaScript developers. I'm one of them that don't like TypeScript. Like,
Oh,
I like
really?
types, right? But not TypeScript. It's
Yeah,
just two different things
yeah,
because I have done typed languages before. Go, dot, C sharp, all the rest, right? But what TypeScript offers, I'm not sure it is what we need, right? So every man is own.
yeah. It's like not really typed. Like you find so many weird behaviors that like when I tried in the beginning, I was like, if I want a fully typeset language, I could develop it using Java. Like so,
Exactly.
and there are other great options like Go, Kotlin.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still not convinced.
Yeah, me too. There's this weird ID behavior that I hate because in Go, right? I could click on a symbol and I get to the implementation. I can't do that anymore in JavaScript because it will take me to a tab file. I'm not interested in the tab file. I want to see how this method works. It just sucks.
Yeah, yeah, that's not nice.
Definitely. So yeah, let's talk about Meteor. But first, right? So this session is titled Real Time Web Apps with Meteor and React. Can you please tell us what real time web apps are? Are they not just regular web apps?
Yeah, sure. I actually, if I can show my
Sure,
slides,
definitely.
I have a few slides here that I want to use, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a good way of explaining what's the difference.
Yeah.
And on these slides, I also have uh, just a few more explaining about Meteor software because it's a bit confusing sometimes for people. So yeah, if I can start the presentation,
Yeah,
I
sure.
can explain about the real time, like what's the real difference, and
All
then
right.
a little bit about the structure on Meteor software.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So let me slideshow. I think it's here. Yeah. So just one thing I want to clarify because people asking me that a lot of time. So people ask me like how Meteor software earns money, like because Meteor JS is free, it's
Mm-hmm.
open source, it's MIT licensed. So how open source software company lives? So the thing is, in Meteor software, we have two sides, kind of two sides, and we have actually two teams for that. So one part of the company is Meteor JS. So we have developers working full time only developing and evolving Meteor JS, and then we have the other side of the company that is Meteor Cloud. So Meteor Cloud is our hosting service for Meteor JS applications, and that's where we make money. So we host Meteor JS applications, but you can. I think I won't uh, go in that slide. So just to clarify, you don't need Meteor Cloud to deploy Meteor JS applications. It's an option, and of course, for us, it's the best option. But you can deploy Meteor JS applications in like anywhere that runs Node.js or Docker. You can deploy this this separation inside the company. And just a funny thing that let's see if you know when Meteor JS was launched. Do you know that?
No, I don't. But let me give a wild guess.
Yeah,
2012?
yeah, try to guess. Oh, yeah, you are right. 2012. So, yeah, it was launched in 2012 by MDG. That's also an interesting part uh,
Oh,
of the story of Meteor JS. It was created by another company called Meteor Development Group, and today is maintained by Meteor Software. That is a new company that is part of the Tiny Group.
okay.
So the guys from MDG, we used to call them MDG. So the guys from MDG are now the guys from Apollo. So if you use GraphQL, you probably know Apollo clients, like it's one of the most famous GraphQL implementations. So they switched their business, they switched everything, and they started Apollo. And then Tiny bought Meteor, and then started a whole new company. So that's an interesting part
Hmm,
of the story.
interesting.
That's a bit updated in the end. Just a few companies that use Meteor today, but I won't go into there. This is probably also not updated, but we have a lot of GitHub stars, and we have a package management system that's called Atmosphere. So Meteor was launched in 2012, and NPM was just starting as well. So many things on the JavaScript ecosystem was just starting. So the Meteor team had to develop internally many tools that they were not there yet. So one of them was a package system, and then they developed Atmosphere. So when you use Meteor, you can use npm as well, like you can use any package from npm, but we also have our own packages inside Atmosphere, and they work really great, and they are more tied to Meteor.
Interesting.
And then, do you have any question or any comments about that?
No, that's interesting. So you have your own npm with the registry or just the CLI?
No, we have everything. Like
Oh,
it's a completely new platform. You can go there. Like when you create a Meteor project, you just run Meteor add and then the name of the package, and then you
mm,
install it. And
mm,
one of the great things about Atmosphere is that you can install a package that will run and work in both sides, front end and back end. So it is really nice.
oh, interesting. This is
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, just a little bit about me. So my name is Fred. I'm software developer since 2008. I'm Brazilian, but I lived in Ireland. I lived in Portugal, and I used to be a digital nomad. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
traveling for about 2 years with my wife. Like we traveled a lot, and then in the end of the next, in the end of the last year, we came back to Brazil. So we are back to Brazil now, where we are raising our child. So yeah, that's a little bit about me as well. So I love traveling. If you want to talk about that, I'm in. Yeah, so I opened this because I wanted to explain a little bit about the real time. So what's the difference? And I think this part here is a good one to start understanding. So I have this slide that I show kind of how traditional web apps works. So you have your server side developed with Node.js, and let's say you have a database like MongoDB, and then on your client side, you can have any front-end framework like Svelte, Vue, or React, and usually they communicate using HTTP and REST APIs. So when you do that, what happens is the server side is always waiting for a request, because then you can send a response. So the conversation has to start on the client side. If something happens on the server side here doesn't have the ability to send something to the client if the client didn't request that. So that's how this flow works. And that's different on the Meteor JS application. So if you have a server-side Meteor JS application, And again, on the client side, using Meteor, you can use any front-end library, Svelte, Vue, React. We also have Blaze, that is our own front-end framework. Uh, Instead of HTTP, we use WebSockets. So when you use WebSockets, you have a persistent connection between client side and the backend side, and each of them can communicate and can send anything at any time. So it's a connection that is always open. So that's how when something changes on the database, and that's something that we will try to build today. So when something changes on the database, the server side can send a message to the client saying that, uh, let's say, a collection was changed, some data inside a collection was changed, and then the front end can react with that information and, let's say, update a table showing a new item that was just inserted. So this is all based on WebSockets. We have a protocol created by the Meteor team that is DDP, is called Distributed Data Protocol. And so this is the protocol you use to communicate and to send requests, like, let's say, to mutate a data. We have RPC methods. So RPC is now, again, a lot of people started using again with TRPC and things like that, and this is great. And Meteor works with RPC like since it was launched. So you just do a remote procedure call. It's kind of calling a remote function. So that's how we communicate in Meteor JS applications using RPC methods and WebSockets. And I think that's the main difference when you have a real-time application. So again, why it's real-time? Because when something changes on the database, the server will notify the client, and then it can react with that new data. And you can do that using only WebSockets or other technologies, but in Meteor, like, it's so easy to use. Like, we have a pattern that we use, that is the publication and subscriptions, and it's so easy to build real-time screens that, like, you're just using Meteor, you follow tutorial, and when you realize it is real-time, you're not struggling with the internal of WebSockets or something like that. So that's really cool.
Hmm, that's interesting. So a couple of things. Meteor is a full stack web framework, right?
Mhm.
So instead of the standard HTTP,
Right.
which is one way, you are strictly based on WebSockets, and you have this um protocol called DDP that makes it
Yeah.
easy for the client and the server to communicate. So not only can the client say, "Hey, give me data," the server can say, "Hey, I have data, right?" And you could render that. Interesting.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I see eJSON. What is that?
Oh yeah, JSON is a kind of wrapper on top of JSON that we have. Like, in JSON, you can send only the main primitive, right? Right, string, number. Uh, I'm not sure if you can send more than that, but with
Okay.
eJSON, you can send, for instance, a date, and that will be like, if you send a date from the client to the server side, usually the frameworks, they have a way to convert a string to a date,
Mhm.
but using ejson, you can send a date, like, over the wire with Meteor, and you can even create your own types. So you send a date, you receive a date, you can create, let's say, a money type. So you are sending something more complex than a string, and we can do that because of ejson.
Hmm, that's really good. Um, it it feels like Meteor and the Meteor team have all these, should I say, custom tailored protocols, data format to just make it easy to build um real-time web apps, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's all
Good.
about simplicity and
Mm,
productivity.
hmm, I like it.
Uh, yeah, maybe I can just follow this one, and then we can see if you start coding or something. But one question that people ask me is like, okay, why should we use Meteor? So it's a pioneering in solid framework. So like not solid JS, but you can use solid with Meteor as well if you want. Uh, so many frameworks, they come and go, and sometimes you're not sure like if you should if you should use it or not. And Meteor JS is there for about 10 years, and we're still here. We're evolving. We are working hard to launch Meteor 3. We have something in Meteor. Another thing that at that time it wasn't ready yet in the JavaScript ecosystem was promises and the sync awaits.
Yeah.
So when Meteor was built, we used something called fibers. That is a way that we handle promise calls, and that is like uh, it is a core and very important part of Meteor, and that is something that is holding us back using Node.js 14 until now. And we are about to release alpha version of Meteor 3 in the next couple of days that will run on Node.js 18. So that's also something that, it wasn't mature yet, and then Meteor team had to develop it inside the company. It worked really well. Like the community wanted actually us to keep using fibers instead of moving to a sync await, because I don't want to go deeper on that, but because it's also complex. But basically, we have asynchronous calls without having to use async and await terms in your JavaScript. Like you don't need those keywords. So it is asynchronous, and you don't even notice that it is asynchronous. So
Hmm.
there's good part and the bad part about this, but we decided last year that we will do everything we can to be closer to the JavaScript ecosystem, and this is part of something that we are changing. So yeah, we are about to launch Meteor 3 that will use promises and sync awaits from Node.js, from native Node.js, and then we will be able to run on Node.js 18.
Hmm.
So yeah, you can easily connect backend and frontend with our RPC calls, like I mentioned in the last slide. We have built-in accounts authentication package. This is something I actually want to start with this today, because I think most of the time we show Meteor, we show the publications and methods, but we never have the time to show accounts. And this is really useful, and you don't have to use any external service or build accounts by yourself. We have that packaged inside Meteor. We have isomorphic code and optimistic UI, so you can reuse code in client side and backend side. And optimistic UI is also really easy to implement. You can choose whatever front-end framework you like. So I think you are a Vue.js developer, right? So uh, you can actually choose. We are about to we are updating. I think it's ready. We just need to merge the pull request, but we just updated our Meteor JS and Vue.js tutorial to use Vue 3 and the composition API. So once it's launched, I will tell you, so you can give a try using Vue
Nice.
instead of React. You can build web, mobile, and desktop apps. So we have today integration with Cordova, and our plan is to switch to Capacitor, but there are still a lot of developers using Cordova. I think Cordova is kind of like jQuery, WordPress, that people doesn't give the proper value, but there are many companies still using and happy. So Cordova is one of them. But we're talking about switch to Capacitor because I think it's a natural evolution of Cordova. And in desktop, we have community package that you can integrate easily with Electron. So that's also something really interesting about Meteor. And yeah, you can develop real-time features like chats and collaborative apps really easily. Your sys data in MongoDB with, I would say, zero configuration, like once you're starting. And you can use JavaScript and TypeScript. So we also have TypeScript support in Meteor if you like TypeScript. And we have Meteor Cloud, so you can deploy using our CLI with just one command line, or you can use push deploy in our platform and deploy your application like really easy. So yeah, I think those are the main reasons. I don't know if you have a question or if you should start coding.
Um, one question though: does Meteor have an ORM, or you could plug and play anyone?
You can plug and play anyone. We don't have a ORM, but we have a wrapper inside the MongoDB driver, just because it's where we implement the real-time capabilities. But to be honest, I don't miss using ORM when I'm using Meteor and MongoDB. So, and that's something we discussed internally. Like I saw many interesting ORMs in the community, and we start discussing like, oh, should we integrate with one of them? But in the end, like none of us miss using an ORM, like when you're using MongoDB. So but yeah, you can integrate it. You can use it. We have a simple app developed with Prisma. But yeah, like this is also something that is really good about Meteor. It wasn't like that in the beginning, but basically you can use any npm package that you want. In the end, Meteor is a Node.js application. We just have interesting packages that work really well together, but you can bring any other package that you like.
Cool.
All right. Uh, I think from the slides, that's the interesting part. Right. So should I start coding?
Yes, but how do I get here if I'm just getting started? Because I know you've already scaffolded this one.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Uh, I will show you how to create a new Meteor app and how to do the first setup for a similar project that I am using today. But let me just explain why I have this starter project. Uh, when I'm developing Meteor applications or when I'm teaching Meteor or demonstrating Meteors with someone, I usually spend a lot of time on the UI side. So I'm about to use React here, and the plan is not to teach React or to show how React works, but to teach Meteor. So what I did here is to create a project where the UI is basically ready, and then we will start plugging Meteor in the places that we need it. So that's why I have this starter project here. But if you want to start a project with Meteor, you can use our CLI. So first, you just have to make sure, like I mentioned, you need Node.js 14 to use Meteor. I use Volta as my Node version manager, so I can just run Volta Node at 14. So Volta install 14 and check it. Yeah, it is there. So that's the first step. And then you have to install the CLI. So if you run npm install Meteor, you will install our CLI. So that's the second step. I have installed it here already, so I want to run this. And then once you have this, you have Meteor installed on your machine. Then to create a new project, you can just run Meteor create, and then you give it a name. Let's say uh, any name. And then you have a few flags that you can use when you are starting a new project. So by default, Meteor will create a React project. If you just run this command, like it's everything you need. So Meteor create the name of the project, and that's it. But if you want to start using Vue, you can just pass this flag. If you want to use Vue 2, you just pass Vue 2. Solid, you just change here, Svelte. And then for this project, uh, what I decided to use, like to have a better UI, is to use Tailwind and Flowbyte. Flowbyte is a component library built on top of Tailwind. So I will just show you like real quickly how you can set up this project using Meteor, React, Tailwind, and Flowbyte. And then we will switch to this starter project. Sounds good? All right. So Meteor create, let me give you a better name. So Meteor React. And then we have this flag, Tailwind. So it will be a React project and it will configure Tailwind as well for us. So if I run it, it will download the packages at this time, install the dependencies. And if you want to see, let me show documentation here. It's the best place to learn. Meteor create. So in docs.meteor.com, you can see all the flags that we have. If you want to use TypeScript, you just pass flag TypeScript. So we have many flags here that you can choose. If you want to use GraphQL and Apollo, we have a flag for that as well. If you want to use Blaze, that is our own front-end library, you can choose. And yeah, so you have many options here, Chakra UI, and so on. Oh yeah, when you run this, we also show all those options to you. So let me also increase this font size, right? I think I should have done that before. Uh, yeah, this works. So what you can see here is, okay, our project is ready. You just have to join the folder and run Meteor, and then we can see the link for tutorials, Meteor Cloud, and all the options that we have. So I will enter inside the project that is Meteor and React, and I will run Meteor and bam, run start. Let me open the project, I think it's better. So start and dot. Project, new window. So this is the project that I just created. So we have a initial folder structure, and you can see in the package.json that to start Meteor, you can just run, to start this project, you can just run this start command. One interesting thing about Meteor as well is that we have Node.js also built in with Meteor. So, and to be sure, we are always running the Node.js version that we have inside Meteor. You can run Meteor, then npm run start. So before any npm command, you put Meteor first. And let me explain a little bit the initial structure here. So when a Meteor JS application starts, we have this property that is the main module, and then you can define where is the entry point in the client side and where is the entry point in the server side. So let's take a quick look here in server main.js. So we don't have types on this project, but that's fine. So what we have here is this meteor.startup. So when this application starts, this file will be loaded and then this function will run. And when you create this app, let me see if it is started because then you can understand. So this is the project that we just created. It is built with React and Tailwind, and there is a counter here. Like if you click, you can see it. And those links, the tutorial, the guide, and so on, they are already coming from the database. So that's why we have some code here to take a look at. So what we're doing here is when the application starts, we are checking if like there's a links collection. Maybe let me show this. Inside the imports folder, API links, we have a links collection. And this is a MongoDB collection. So in the startup, we are already fetching, like we're already checking if links collection has any record. And if it's zero, so if you don't have any data, then we insert a few links. tutorial, the guide, and the docs. This
Nice.
method is right here, insert link, and you're basically calling links collection dot insert async, and then you're passing title, URL, and created at. So those are the links that you are seeing here. We can take a look at the UI part now. So the server started, we connected to MongoDB, we checked it if there are links or not, and then we inserted a few links in our application. If we see now, in the main module client, we have client main JSX. So this is the entry point for the client side. And again, you have a Meteor startup, and you're basically rendering a React application right here. So if I see, we have an app component, and I think those links are here in the info component. So I won't show this much because we are going to build this uh, ourselves. But one interesting thing that I think I can show you on this app is I will open NoSQL Buster, that is a MongoDB client,
Mm.
just so you can have a look at the database. Because one important thing, first, we don't need to install MongoDB when you're creating a Meteor application. We also have embedded version of MongoDB, so you can just start coding. And then to access this MongoDB, you can go to localhost 3001, and let me refresh this. Then you have Meteor because like we haven't defined any database name for us, so it uses Meteor by default. And then you have this links collection. So the links that we inserted when we started the application, they are all here. And then the interesting part that I want to show that is part of the so-called magic about Meteor. I will change the data in the database
Mhm.
and let's see what happens. So I have this one, do the tutorial. I will change it to the Meteor JS tutorial.
Mm.
And the screen is updated already. So we have a publication and a subscription here in our project, and that's why I changed the database and the screen already reacted to it and updated my screen. So
Wow.
we are going to build uh, this so you can understand how it works.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
Yeah. So the other part to configure the started project, I won't run it, so I will just show you where you can find it. That is to configure Flowbyte. We have an integration guide in our guide.meteor.com. But basically, after creating a Tailwind project, you run npm install Flowbyte and Flowbyte React, and then you update your Tailwind configuration to also process the Flowbyte files and add this Flowbyte plugin to it. And that is it. So after creating a Tailwind project, just this part, and then you're ready.
Cool.
All right, so let me close this project. Let me stop it first. Is it not running? Oh, it's running on the command line. And now I will start this other one. That is the project that we will work today. Yeah, as you saw in the other project, we have the same configurations here. And the other thing that is nice about Meteor is that we don't define like how you have to structure your project. You can structure however you like. You just have to remember to update here if you move the entry point files to another place. Yeah, so it is running. Let me go to the sign-in page. So I was wondering, like, what kind of project I could build to use here, and one that I wanted to build for a while, and maybe I will keep developing this project to start using internally, is basically a time off request manager. So in Meteor, like in our company, we have a policy that we have infinite time offs. So like we don't have any limit. Like you can take as many day offs you like, uh, and we have a time bot. We have a bot on Slack called TimeBot. Uh, it works, like it is okay, but I wanted to create something using Meteor because I think it's a nice challenge and we can use it internally. So yeah, I just came up with this idea. So this project is called Work Break, and maybe after this video I will keep developing to really use it in our company. So I will show you quickly the UI side, but as I said, I don't want to spend time on the UI side. I want to spend time showing you how to use Meteor. So my structure here is basically all the main files are inside this imports folder, and then if I want to see a screen, no, actually let me start from the right places. So package.json, client main.js. This is entry point. So let's go there. Client main.jsx. Right. So here, again, we are basically rendering a React application. Uh, and we are rendering this app component. So I will go there. And we are using React Router. So let's go here. And the signing page, that's the one that I am showing. It's rendering signing page component. Right. So this is the page that we are seeing, and basically it is React tailwind, like nothing special. Like I'm not using any form library and anything like that. Just using React use state. So we can see like label your email, this one, and text input. This is from Flowbyte. So just a simple UI screen, right? And the other page we have is the home page that is listing the time offs that were requested. And we have another one that it will list the request so a manager can approve that time off request. And I want to start with the signing page. Oh, we also have the sign up page to create an account. So I will start from the login page because then we can start seeing the accounts package from each one. Right. So let me just test this and we can see what's going on right now. I will inspect this and I will open a incognito window because sometimes, no, I won't. Because I need to show another thing. Okay, so Fred Meteor phone and password. Right now, it's not doing anything. The only thing it's doing is showing in the console. So submitting form, then my email and password. So what I want to do here is to create the signing using Meteor.
All right.
So to do that, I will do another thing first. Uh, to be able to log in, I will create an account once I start the Meteor application, because then I will test the signing with the account that I just created. So before implementing the login, I will create an account using the Meteor API. So in the startup, like similar to the links collection that we just saw, I will check if I have a user, I will explain the type at the same time. So we will create a const user, and we have the accounts package that should be imported from here. Sometimes autocomplete doesn't work. So from the Meteor accounts base package, I have the accounts, and then I will try to find a user by email. So I will try to find my user at meteor.com. And then if I don't find it, I will create it. So okay, Copilot is helping me here. So yeah, so registering initial user, yeah, it's not helping that much. So accounts dot create user async. This is async method. I will change here, and yeah, I need to pass an email and the password. I will use ABC123. Right. This is a async method, so I will make the startup function async. I have something that Copilot did here. So what I'm doing is just checking if I have this user created. If not, I will create this user. And to make sure we don't have that user, is this application running? Yeah, it is running. So let me refresh here the NoSQL cluster and check the users table. I will delete the record that you have here, and I will restart the application. So this function will be executed. This main.js, just to be clear, it is in the server side. Okay. Yeah, we have an error.
Yeah.
Okay. What's happening? Okay. This.
Okay.
Just had to close the
Yeah.
callback. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so you can see registering initial user, and if you check the database, it is there. So, right, we have a user. And then now we can implement the signing part. So let's go back to our screen, the signing page. And yeah, I already have a few states here. So I have email, password, and an error state from React. Let's have a look at the form. So this is the form. And so when this field changed, I will set the email with the value that the user just typed. I will do the same with the password. And when they hit submit, my form will call the function handle submit. And for now, this is where we are just printing this in our console. So I want to sign in. Copilot is already happening. So I want to sign in. I just call meteor.login with password. And yeah, let's see if it is right. I think so. So I'm passing email, password, and let's close this here. This is a callback function, so if we have an error, I will set on this error state so the user can see it and return. If we don't have any error, yeah, for now, I'll just print on the screen that we don't have any error. So let's see now. Fred at meteor.com. ABC123. I think we're not here. Increase this font size. Oh, success. All right. So what I want to do is, once I am logged in, I want to navigate through the list of timeoffs. So I will use the navigate hook from React. Use navigate. And we can see here in our routing that the timeoffs page is the hook page. So I will just, instead of printing this, navigate the hook page. So let's do it again. ABC123. Yeah, it navigated. So how we can see if we are really logged in. So I will change this menu item here so we can see the user information. So for that, I will go directly to our navbar component, and I just have an empty user object here. So I want to take the user from my session that is logged in, and for that, we have a React hook that I can call it use logged user, and yeah, and then I already have here a few things. So I am showing the user profile.name and the user.email, and also some initials. This is something that we will build in a second, but let's see what happens now. Okay, we can't see anything yet. Let me print out this user to see what we are getting. That is here. So yeah, there's something I have to do. So this hook, let me open the code here. Uh, this is a hook that I built for this application, but we have a React package that has similar hooks as well. So basically what I'm doing is I'm calling meteor.user, and this is a way, like, let's say that maybe a more clear way that we are taking the user from this session, but it's not showing yet. Okay, it's undefined. Yeah, no, I will go back to the hooks, please. I think it will be better. So in Meteor, we have a concept that is called tracker. You can see here that I'm using a hook called user tracker that is from the React Meteor data package. The tracker is basically a way of using reactivity inside Meteor.
Okay.
So we have the Meteor user here, and as this function, as this code is inside a user tracker, if the user changes, then this code will rerun, and then we will take a new user, or if the user is logged out, then this will be updated and this code will rerun again. So the tracker is a way to track some reactive data sources, and we have a few reactive data sources in Meteor. A collection, for instance, a MongoDB collection is a reactive data source. And the user that you have here is also a reactive data source. So if you have a reactive data source, you put it inside the use tracker, you can uh, rerun this function every time this code changes.
Okay.
And basically here I'm returning the logged user. Uh, I'm returning if you are loading. We have meteor.userid, that is the ID of the user, and it is returned instantly. But sometimes the logged user is still being fetched from the database. So we have this is loading and just is logged function to help us in other sites. So, and then looking at the hook, I know my mistake, that is, I have to destructure the result because I have a few objects that are being returned. So now if we go here, still not showing. Okay, let's see. The user is here. Oh, okay, right. Uh, so yeah, the user is returning, but we cannot see anything on the screen. But why we cannot see anything? Because I am showing some initial. So let's take a look in the database to see how this user. So we couldn't have a name. We couldn't have initials. And the email, actually, the full way that Meteor creates an user is creating an array of emails.
Hmm.
So we have an array of emails, and then we have an object with an address, and then we have the email. So we have built-in support for multiple emails. Just to show something on the screen here, I will change this to take the first item of the array and to show the address. So you can really see that we are logged in. So our email is there.
Okay. So
I
we
will
just have
go,
to access it as an array, right? That's it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I will go back here so you can have a review. So first, what I did was inside the main.js server, I created a user. So just checked if this user existed or not. And then I called accounts, create user, and then I created this user. So with that user created, on the signing page, I'm just calling meteor.login with password, passing email and password. And then if everything goes right, we navigate to the home page. And in the nav bar that the home page uses to take the user from the session, we have this hook, use logged user, and then we can see if the user is logged or not. We can even do something here that is, so right now, we don't have logout yet, but we know that
Hmm.
we can access this page without being logged in. So I will just do something to prevent this. So if we try to get a user, actually have one is logged boolean that I can take from this logged user. So if you're not logged, you can redirect this user to the signing page. Yeah, return, right? This is React and React router,
Yeah.
but I will do something here. So when we are logged in, we basically have this user stored here. So I will have the token of the user stored here. So I will clean up this cache and everything and refresh. Yeah. So let's test it again. Fred@meteor.com, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we are logged in. I will do a refresh. We're still here, and I will clear the site data, and then we are moved back. I will log it in again to show something, but you have to pay attention. Uh, so I am logged in, and I won't hit the refresh button now. I will just clear the site data. And I am redirected to the login page automatically. Why? Because this code will run again because it is inside the use tracker. And then, of course, because of React, this code also rerun again, and then we were redirected to the signing page. Right. Uh, let's see how we can create an account. Do you have any question before that?
No, everything is looking good. Just
Okay.
some questions I have that I've been building up. The first
Mhm.
question, I see you're navigating on the client side. So with Meteor, you're building a single page application, right? You're building a single
Yeah,
page
yeah,
application. Cool.
exactly.
Yeah. As far as bundlers go, you are you using Webpack? I'm guessing to bundle your client
We
assets, or you don't?
we we use Babel and Webpack internally,
Okay.
but they are not like you can extend them if you want, but they are not directly exposed here. So you can see that we don't have any Babel or Webpack file here to configure. But internally,
Okay.
because Meteor has its own compiler, its own bundler, and then those tools are inside of the Meteor tools.
Okay. Cool. That makes sense. Yeah, everything
Yeah.
really looks really good. So for the initials, I'm guessing
Mhm.
you're doing that when you create the user, or are you not saving it in database, or you're just doing it at runtime?
No, it is in the database.
Oh, cool.
So uh, yeah, we insert it in the database using this. So this file is inside the server main.js file. So that's why, like I mentioned, we have the accounts package built in inside Meteor, because just using this, we are already inserting this user in the database. I can change here to Kelvin and save it, and I will just restart the application. So this will rerun. We can check the database first. So we can see in the database I have only what I have. Oh, I have started already because I saved. So yeah, it's already there, Kelvin. If I put Fred back, and when I save it, it reruns as well. So we can see that. Is not there. Oh, right. There's another.
Mhm.
So Fred is there. So this is the only thing I need to create a user on the server side. And now we will see how to create a user on the client side. It's basically almost the same. So let me go to imports, UI, and pages. Then we have the sign up page. Again, same thing. We have just a few states here for the forms. We are, if you go to, oh, I didn't remove the code, so I remove it now. Uh, the same structure. So we have a form, a few uh, states from React. Once the form is submitted, we call the handle submit, and then it will print the values in the console. So let's just test this. Uh, we'll put another name here. That is my son's name. So I hit the create account. Nothing happened because I haven't implemented yet. The only thing that is doing is printing the values here in the console. So I'm doing this because then you can see, okay, all this code is only for the UI, it's only for React, it's for state, it's for the forms, and then where Meteor joins this. So now, like every time that I want to communicate with the backend, then I use Meteor to mutate the data or to create the data or to fetch something, then I use Meteor. So I will call here. So we are inside the handle submit function. We have the values already here, and I will just call accounts dot create user, and I will pass email, yeah, everything, email, password. You can see here. Let me go back quickly to the database. Okay, we don't have there. All right. So I will pass email, password, and a new property that is called profile, and I will add a name to this profile. And then the same way, if you have an error, I have this callback. I will show the error to the user and return. Everything goes right. We navigate to the home page. I think this is all we need. Let's see. We have watch module replacement in Meteor. You can see here that it is working, and like this code is already updated, but the state is still there. So I can just try to create an account. Yeah, it seems that it worked. Let's check the database to see if the user was created or not. So we have two users here. That is mine and yours. Let me change this. And I will rerun this query. And yeah, we have a new user now. And with this new profile attribute. So all I needed to do was on the client side, use accounts.createUser. And that is it. We can see now that now we have a name. So we were showing before profile.name. So now you can see here, and we have the email of the user. Any question?
No, all good.
Right. So there is something that I don't know. Yeah, we are how much time we have, but I think I will skip a part here and go to the methods. Uh, all right. So yeah, I will build the logout first. So let me go to the navbar. We have a drop down component here, and you have this sign out. Oh, it's already built. Okay, I forgot to remove this code. So
Okay.
let's see how difficult it is to create a logout.
Mm-hmm.
On the drop-down item, we have an on-click function you call meteor.logout, and that is it. So let's see if it's working. Sign out. Yeah, I was already redirected to the
Yep.
home page because we have the tracker and React reacting to this change. And that's the only thing we need, meteor.logout.
Cool.
Let's log in again. Uh, okay. I will try to build this screen. There were two screens that I want to build, but I don't think we will have enough time. But if we build this one, I think we can already see some nice things. So let me close everything because one important part is to find yourself inside the project. So we have the home page, and I think the best way to find yourself in the application is going to the router. So in the app, we have the router. The host domain is the timeoffs page. So let's take a look at this. We have a few components here that are already built. The component that I'm exporting is the timeoffs page, that is this one. So we can see here my timeoffs. So that's changed. Okay. So we are in the right place. Okay. So we can see already some data here, but this is only static data, a static array that I have here. So let me add one more. It is there. So what I want to do now is actually to build the form page, because then you can create time off. When you click on add time off, we have this modal, and you can choose which kind of time off you are taking, if it's a vacation, sick leave, or something else, if it's a full day or partial day, and start date and end date. So I will choose vacation, full day, start, 1, 2, 5, and just testing, send request, and nothing is going to happen because we haven't implemented yet, or maybe some error will happen, but that's not a big deal for us right now. So let's find this modal component. It is here, add time off modal. So we have the button, the modal body, and then the form. So same history again. We have a form. On handle submit, we're going to call Meteor. And we already have the fields on the state here. So type, duration, start date, end date, and details. When we submit the form, it will call the random submit. And then let me just uncomment this, because then you can see on the console that this function is being called. So put here any date. And up this, send request. Yeah, so that function is being called when we submit the form. It's just printing out the values here. Now we want to send this data to the backend. If you remember from the slides, we use RPC methods to communicate, to mutate data. So how we do that? And we also need, like from now, so far we are using the users collection, and you can see, like maybe you can see, but I can say that we don't have a user collection created on this project because Meteor created automatically. So we don't have to create the users collection. But now I want to render some time offs. So I need to use a MongoDB collection to store their data. So I will go inside the imports API folder, and I will create a new collection. This is just the blank file, and then we need to create what we called methods. So this is where we are going to create our RPC methods. And then to publish the data, when you're going to see it on the screen, we will create a file name called publications. So this is very typical in a Meteor application. You have a collection that is your MongoDB collection. You have your methods, that is the way you mutate data, and you can also search, you can also fetch data using methods. And you have publications, that is where you create real-time carries. Again, this, oh, there is a typo here. Factory name, collection. Uh, just to be clear, like you don't have to use this folder structure, you don't have to use this file name, like this is just your preferences. But instead of building everything from scratch, we'll use something here, and I will delete those files. Uh, Not a long time ago, one of the Meteor developers decided to create something very nice. That is our Meteor generate command. And I will just test it here. So let's actually have a look at the docs first. So guide CLI, it's in the docs. So one of the commands that we have in the Meteor CLI is the generate. And basically you pass the name of the collection and it creates for you the MongoDB collection. It creates the CRUD functionality, so you have create, update, remove, and find methods, and creates the full publication. So that is very nice to start your project, like to start building, like without having to type everything. So I just ran that comment, and now we can see that we have our time of collection. We have a few methods here. So we have the create method that will call time of collection dot insert. We have update that will call time of collection dot update, and remove and find by ID. And as you can see, like on these functions, they are pretty standard, like just JavaScript. You have a simple function, you are calling a collection and calling an insert uh, function. Then you have to register them. You have to tell Meteor that they are a RPC method. So to do that, we have this function, meteor.methods. You define a name and you pass the function. So that's how you register a simple function. You transform that function in a Meteor method, and then this is exposed like an API. So with that, we already have a method that we can call. Another important aspect is we created, yeah, we have this index file as well, importing all the other files. And when you create any file in a Meteor project, if you don't import it, it won't be loaded. It won't exist like in the runtime memory. So, but the generate command already inserted the import here. So I have here imports API time off. So all the files that I created are already imported. So I can use them. Right. Uh, what we want to do, let's see here, is to create a time off. And we are already printing them in the console. What we want to do now is to send this data to the backend so Meteor can save it in our database. So let's do it. To call Meteor RPC method, you call await.meteor.call async. Then you pass the name of the function. I don't know if Copilot is helping me or not, so I will double check. It's timeoff.create. Then you pass the data that you want to save. So type, duration, start date, end date, and details. And let's see here what happens when you do that. Add time off. I will leave those default choices and just change start date, end date, testing, see, send request. So we are still showing that static array in our screen, right? So we can be sure if it was inserted or not. I have some bad data here. I will just clear the collection. I was testing this before, so I will remove everything. Right, we don't have any data now. So I will insert it again, so we can be sure that we are inserting it to the database. Testing RPC and request. Let's see. It is there.
Nice.
So let's recap. I'm basically calling meteor.callAsync. I'm calling a method and passing the data. Inside this method, I'm basically calling the MongoDB collection, calling the insert async method, and saving the data. So it is pretty simple and straightforward to use it. But you can improve a few things. I will just improve some of them because then you can move on to the publications. I will remove those console logs. And just one thing that is a good practice to do is to never trust your client data. So we can use an object instead of receiving the data object. So now I receive a type, duration, start date, end date, and details. So if they don't pass, like if they pass a data that is different than this, we won't be receiving them. And Meteor has this Meteor check function. You can see that is already being used in a few generated methods. So I can call this function to check the type of my variables. So the type should be a string, duration also a string, start date should be a date, end date also a date, and details should be string. So now I am validating the data, and then we should see an error because end date and start date, I think we're passing them as strings. Yeah, you can see in the database that they are strings. So if we try to insert again, we will have an error. Of course, we should render this error, but you can see here that our maths have failed. And let me see, result match failed. On the server side, yeah, we can also see that we have an error. So it's saying the method time of create expected a date, but got, where is the got part? Oops. Yeah, I should say got in a string, but yeah. So it is validating here, and then we have to pass the right data to it. To do that, I will just create this object right here. Time off. So start date has to be date. I'm not sure if the format will be correct. Let me take a look here. Yeah, we can test that. So new date, end date. and then I will pass the time off to the method called. Let's start them as a strings. Yeah, now that warning is gone. Let's see now. Okay, we still have an error, but it seems that it's a different error. Data is not defined. Okay, I think I missed something. Oh yeah, here.
Yes, you're still spreading it.
Yeah, I need to create an object also with that data that I'm receiving. So type, duration, start date, end date, details, and yeah, that's a good one. So I also want to save like which user is making the request. So I just need to call meteor.userid to
Okay.
get that uh,
Yeah.
the ID
I
of
was
the
gonna
login
ask.
user.
Yeah. So for the auth, are you using sessions or JWT?
We use we save the token of the user in the local storage.
Okay. I guess that should be JWT. JWT, right?
And not, I think, yeah,
Okay.
now you got me. Uh, I'm not sure if we see here, we can identify that, but you see you have a login token, token expiration, and the user ID.
Interesting. It doesn't look like a JWT. But that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
JWT.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe just
I think it's
an
a
API
hash.
token or
Yeah.
something.
Mm. So both in the backend and front end, to take the user ID of the logged user, you can just call meteor.userid. I'm also adding a status called pending. We could add created at and anything else we wanted. And now I'm inserting the right data at the time of. Let's go back to the screen, clean up the console. We will also clean up WebStorm console and send a request. It seems that we didn't get any error. So let's check the database. And it is there. Time off. Let me put table here. Location, full day. The dates are also there. Details and status. I think this other one was wrong. Yeah. So same easy steps. Taking the data from the front end, calling a function in the back end. We are validating the data here, so we could see that we were not getting the end date and start date as dates, like they were strings. So now they are correct. And yeah. So next step, and probably the last one, is to present this data here. So how we do that? Let's go back to the UI, and we have here a time-offs table built with the full byte table components. So we can see type, duration, start date. So all these headers here. And the rows, they are coming from this requests array. So what I want to do is fetch this from the database, from the backend. So first I will remove the static array. So on. And now let's see another thing that it was generated by the Meteor generate command. Inside the publications, we have our first publication that it has created for us. And what it does, basically, we could even split them here this way. So maybe it's more clear. So we have a simple function that calls timeof collection dot find. So it's basically returning all the time of data from the database. And then again, similar to the methods, we have to register this in the Meteor context to say that it is a publication. So we call meteor.publish, we give it a name, and we pass the function. So this is how a publication is created. And then on the client side, we have to subscribe to this publication. So this is basically a live query, and this is how Meteor will send the data to the client side. So if any client is connected to this publication, then if the data from this query changes, it will resend the data to the client side. So let's build the client part of this. We have, again, another hook that is called use subscribe. And then we pass the name of the publication. That is called all time ops. This hook returns me a function that I can check if this data is loading. So I will just check here if it's loading. I will just show a loading component. And I was doing that. Return loading. So I am now subscribed to that publication, but I still have to fetch that data to present on the screen. So what I mean by that is when you subscribe to a publication, something happens behind the scenes that we can see. Yeah, let's see if you still can see. With this nice extension, what is it? I think it was this Meteor. So something really nice to do is to install an extension on Chrome called Meteor Dev Tools Evolved. So you can see many things behind the scenes, how they work. So on the first screen here, you can see DDP. That is the protocol that I mentioned before. So you can see here, like a nice thing is to see how the WebSocket is communicating and keeping the connection alive. So you have a ping pong message. So you see it sends ping and then wait for a response that is pong. So that's how it is keeping the connection alive. And you can see when we call a method, when we call a subscription, basically all the messages that are sent and received using the DDP protocol, you can see them here. But the other thing that is really nice is this one, that is Minimongo. So how we synchronize the data between the database and the client side. We have something on the client side that is called Minimongo. So it is a way, it is a cache on the client, and its API it's very similar to MongoDB. So when you subscribe to a publication, what happens is this data will be stored in your cache on the client side that is Minimongo. So I don't know with the error if, yeah, I think it won't work. Let me see if I can put the request again, because you can see the publication happening. Yeah, let me copy this array. Now let me put the code back. Fine now. Yeah, we're still seeing the static array, but I want to see something. Let's check the publication all time offs. It is correct. And let me see if it is imported correctly. Here, subscriptions, all time offs. You see here, I can see the subscriptions created. So all time offs is created. And we should see the data here already, but you're not seeing. Let me see what is wrong. Let me put this back here. So time of collection dot find. We are not filtering anything. Use subscribe time offs. I don't see anything wrong. Let's try to present the data. So as I said, when you subscribe to a publication, the data ends in the minimum. Then we want to show that data. So we have to fetch it on the client side. So requests, we have a hook, use find, and we fetch type offs collection dot find, and we pass an array that is empty right now because we don't have anything that we depend on. And let's remove this one now. So I'm not using the static array anymore. Let's see what happens. Meteor value is not a function. Okay, I found the error. I think the issue is this guy. So a publication should exist only in the server side, and on this component, I am importing from the index file. So it is importing everything to the client side. So I will import directly from the collection file. Okay, now I have a new error, so it seems that is working. It's complaining about the date to date string. Let's see what we have here. Request start date to date string. It is undefined. Okay, so let's print log requests. Okay, the data is here. Time off. Duration and day start date. It seems correct. Oh, yeah, I think we did something wrong when we were inserting the data. Requests. Then we have time off object. So when we inserted the data, no, I think inside the method. Yeah, I created another object here, like instead of passing time off directly. So we have the wrong structure. But yeah, I think it's best to fix that. So I remove this. So we don't have any time off in the database right now. I will add a new one. I will close this. And it is there.
Nice.
So let's check the database. Yeah. So now it is inserted, and just to recap, uh, is it still here? Oh no, this is another screen. Oh, and now we can see the minimal in the Meteor extension. So if you go here and you see, like you can see that we have on the client side cache users, that is the logged user, and you have time off, that is the data that you're presenting.
Nice.
And this is already real time. So let me open another screen so we can see it happening. And we can wrap up. So we'll add a new time off with candidate and say that's in real time.
Magic.
So the screen behind it updated automatically.
Nice.
And to do that, basically what we did was I created a publication that is actually wrong. We can fix it. That is because this is something important and something that we have to pay attention. Sometimes developers don't pay attention to this. Uh, the more data you publicate, the more you spend in CPU and memory and on data on the client side. So you should always publish only what you need. And on this case, we even have a bug here, let's say, because we are publishing all the time offs,
Mm-hmm.
but we should publish the time offs only for the logged user, because on the screen we could filter and we could show the user only their time offs, but on Minimongo on the cache, it would be everything there. So we can just filter here using Copilot. No, not manager ID. So Copilot is giving me the wrong code. Requester user ID. I think that was the requester user ID. So now we're going to filter, and we're going to take only the time offs that belongs to the logged user. We can't see any difference here because we have only one user, but now we are filtering correctly. We can, let me see, let me change the status of one time off here so we can just test that filtering. So let's say that this one is already approved. So it is showing here that is approved. I cannot cancel anymore. But just to test the publication, I will add another filter here that I want to see only time off status pending. So now that approved time off should disappear from the screen and from Minimum. Yeah, so you can see only pending time offs now, and also on Minimongo there is only one record. And yeah, that's it. I don't know if you
Wow.
have any questions.
Yeah, that was a full-on Meteor bootcamp. I really liked it.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, but I think those are like, of course, there are many more. Like uh, you can see that I am using strings here, so this is not typed. But I wanted to use mainly what we have in the core of Meteor, but we have amazing community packages, and one of them is Southern Pipes. By using this package, you have type safe it from backend and front end. So instead of, let's see if it will open. Yeah.
Oh,
So and to use it, you basically run Meteor add other types, add a configuration to tsconfig, and what happens is instead of, let me go here in the timeoffs, where we are adding a new timeoff. So instead of calling timeoff.create, that is a string, like you can, you know, uh, put the wrong name here, uh, you are able to do this. What's the name of the method? Create. So it's just create. So if you install that package, we could basically call import that create method and call it like this. So we could name it better, right? So maybe create time off. So this function should be named create time off. And we could call the function directly from here. Same for publications. So we have many amazing packages that we don't have time to see them. And
mhm.
this one, like Southern, he works for us, like contributing to Meteor. And this is one of the packages that we are really willing to bring it to the core of Meteor so we can improve type safe it. But yeah, we have many things to see, but yeah, I think accounts, methods, and publications are the core features of Meteor that uh, you know make us really productive.
Yeah, it's really good. I like how you could abstract the user, the session creations, the login, the logout, and everything. It's really good. So, where can one go to learn more about Meteor?
Yeah, the best place is our website. We I'm not sure this anymore, right? Okay, so the best place is our website, and then there you can see in our menu, there is a resources page. I think meteor.com/resources. You can find everything. You have the tutorials. We have Meteor University that is a course in video, so you can watch lessons. We have 3 sections there already. Uh, uh, and we have our guide that is also another good place to start. But I would say if you want to, take a look, give it a try, go to the tutorials. Choose one front-end framework, follow the tutorial, and then you go deeper after that. But I think the tutorial is the best place to start.
Awesome. So, where can I go if I have questions for you? Like, are you on Twitter? Elsewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Twitter is the best place. You can find me, uh, Fred Maia Arantes. You can find me there. Send me a DM. So yeah, it's the best place to reach out to me.
Awesome. So thank you so much for your time, Fred. I really love learning about Meteor, and I'm really going to play with it because there are some concepts, especially WebSockets. I love WebSockets and real-time apps. So I'm just going to check how your PubSub works. So thank you.
Yeah, please do. I will tell you when we release the new tutorial, so you can follow with Vue 3 and Composition API, and then you let me know what you think.
Definitely. Thank you, Fred.
Yeah, thanks for having me.